Good afternoon, Senator Carney, Representative Kuhn, esteemed members of the Judiciary Committee. My name is Ellen Gorman. I'm sure you're sick of hearing from me now, but I will speak again. I live in Falmouth. You'll be hearing testimony this afternoon in support of LD 1022, an act to protect and increase access to justice in civil legal aid matters for persons with low incomes. I want to share with you why I believe civil legal aid is important to the overall functioning of the judicial system, an excellent return on investment, and an important way that you can support access to justice for all Mainers. Regardless of politics or political parties, I know that we all want Maine to be a safe, fair, and healthy place to live, and we all want Maine and Mainers to prosper. You enact laws to realize those aspirations. What I want to impress upon you today is that the courts, which exist to ensure that the laws you enact are effectuated, need lawyers to operate. Without sufficient funding for civil legal services, the courts are crippled. I'm speaking to you today both as a citizen of Maine and in my role as the chair of and counsel to the Advisory Committee of Providers, ACP. The providers are the 7 legal aid services providers that Justice Mead listed for you earlier. I meet by Zoom with the executive directors of all of those providers each month to talk about what's going on, good, bad, and indifferent, and to look for ways to collaborate, all in order to better serve the clients who need legal assistance. I am willing and really honored to serve in this volunteer position, not only because the group is thoughtful, collaborative, creative, and a pleasure to work with. I also do it because I know from direct experience just how important civil legal services are. As some of you may know, I served as a judge in the state of Maine for over 33 years. 11 years in the district court, 7 years in the superior court, and 13 on the law court. You are, I know, very aware of the crisis involving the state's obligation to provide lawyers to individuals charged with crimes. I applaud your efforts to ensure that Maine meets its constitutional obligation to those individuals who are facing criminal charges. But the criminal defense issue is not why I'm talking today. Today, I'm talking about the need for legal assistance for civil cases. Cases that, although they may not involve the threat of incarceration, can have effects that are every bit as devastating. Civil cases frequently involve basic human needs like safety, stability, and shelter. Think about parents who need child support or need to establish a child custody order, or vulnerable elderly or disabled adults facing financial abuse, neglect, threats, or violence. Think of people desperately trying to stay in their homes, or children who need access to educational services. None of those people go to court because they want to. They go to court because they have to. The problem is, however, that courts and judges have rules they must obey and laws they must apply. You know better than any just how complex some of those laws might be. The rules of procedure and the rules of evidence are also complex. When people go to court without knowing those rules and without understanding the law, the result is frustration and defeat for both the litigants and the justice system. Imagine that you are a judge. Your job requires you to make decisions about how a child should be raised. Not your own child, the child of people you met for the first time today. People who are making very serious allegations about how bad or how dangerous the other parent is. You have to decide where the child should live and go to school, which parent is going to be making decisions about medical care. You're going to decide on a schedule of contact between the child and the parents. The only information you will have is the information provided to you by the parents. And the way that that information can come to you is determined by the rules of procedure and the rules of evidence. Judges know these rules well, but the parents who do not have legal training and don't have lawyers don't know the rules. They don't understand what hearsay is. They don't understand why you can't consider the out-of-court statement as reliable evidence, even when it's written and even when it's by a teacher. You try to explain it as you go along, but the concepts of evidence are complex and the parents are growing frustrated with you. You know you just have one day or even a half a day to get all the information you need to make these very important decisions. And you're not getting that information because the parents don't know what to present or how to present it. Or imagine that you need to decide whether to evict someone. You think the tenant probably has a defense to it, But without a lawyer, she doesn't know what the defense is or how to make those arguments. You have to grant the landlord's complaint, knowing that the woman and her children may soon be homeless. Or imagine an elderly man appears at a courthouse asking for protection from his grandson, who's been threatening him and stealing his money. The man is frightened and confused and is having difficulty understanding what he can do to get help. Neither you nor the court clerks can give him the advice and the help he needs because the court and its employees, including judges, have to remain neutral and impartial and cannot provide legal advice. Each of these scenarios is happening right now in courthouses throughout Maine. And in each case, justice may not occur because the judges who have to decide those cases may not get all the information they need to make the right decisions. In order for courts to work properly, the people using the courts need lawyers and legal advice. And that's where the civil legal providers really make a difference. They provide legal advice and legal services to the neediest and most vulnerable among us. And by doing so, they ease the burden on the courts and allow the system to operate more fairly, more effectively, and more efficiently. Legal services lawyers resolve the cases that can be resolved, but if a trial is necessary, they have the skills and the knowledge to advocate for their clients. They don't always win, of course, but they help ensure that the process is fair and effective. If we want everyone to be treated fairly, if we want a fair and equitable justice system, if we want people to respect courts and trust in the rule of law, we have to ensure that there is justice for all. Justice requires access to courts in both civil and criminal matters. And that is only possible when everyone, regardless of finances, has access to legal assistance and legal advice. Thank you very much for your service to the state and its citizens. It's been an honor to be here before you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Justice Gorman. Are there any questions, committee members? Not seeing any. Thank you.
Thank you.